In this lecture, we'll explore access transparency. Access transparency provides logs when Google employees and administrators access GCP resources that belong to organizations. This is part of the ongoing initiative of Beyond Corp that Google has recently started in order to separate their own organization and their own employees from other organizations that are using Google Cloud. So as we discussed previously, Google has their own products. They have 8 products that has over 1 billion users each, and they have hundreds of their own products like Google Maps, Gmail, and so on that we may be using. And that's the birthplace of this whole Google Cloud platform, which was created in order for them to support their own products. So now that they're leasing their Google Cloud platform infrastructure to other organizations to set up their own services and products on their cloud, there is a little controversy, a competitive as well as compliance issues, where Google employees might be accessing the data and resources from other organizations. So in an effort to completely separate these two things and create a proper transparency, they introduced this new thing called access transparency, where any actions that are taken by the Google staff when accessing your data are also logged separately. So this is a fairly new feature, so they're still developing this, and it'll be an ongoing thing. So these logs provide similar answers to the cloud audit logs, like who did what, where, and when. These cloud audit logs provide logs about actions that are taken by members within your own organization and as well as the Google staff. There's also a separate sub-feature where staff have to ask for your permission before they can access any of your resources. So this is not enabled by default, and it's only available to specific organizations that meet the criteria. So currently the eligibility requirements are such that your Google Cloud organization has to be enrolled in either enterprise support, have 4 or more development roles, 4 or more production roles, or a combination of 4 or more development or production roles. If you want to enable this access transparency, you need to contact Google Cloud support. The second way is if your Google Cloud organization has a platinum or gold support package, then you're also eligible to enable this feature. So what are some of the use cases why this would be useful? So for example, you want to verify that Google is accessing your data only for valid business reasons, such as fixing a fault or attending to requests that you raise. Verifying that Google staff have not made any errors when carrying out these instructions. The Google staff are also people and administrators like some of us, so they might make mistakes, and you want to make sure that those are separately logged so we won't blame our own organization members. So depending on the type of data that you're storing, there might be a HIPAA compliance for health or GDPR for the European data use and privacy rules and so on. So in order to meet some of these regulations, you might have to have these logs available, not just what your organization is doing, but if you're using a cloud solution, then whoever has access to those resources need to be clearly identified and logged. And finally, you want to collect and analyze this tracked data using some sort of a management tool, like a security management tool, in order to make sure that there are no security holes in your organization. So this is still a new feature. So some of these products are available, and as time goes on, more and more GCP products will be available for this transparency. For the ones that are supported here, there are some limitations as well. For example, for cloud storage, it's only compatible for storage backend when you're using it for App Engine. When using BigQuery, some of the queries, tables, and dataset may not generate an access transparency log if they're being used by the Google Cloud support. And for PubSub, some topics and subscriptions may not automatically generate access transparency logs. So let's see what's actually included in the log entry. So you have the affected resource, the time of the action, the reason for the action, and any of the data about that action. So here's an example of a transparency log. So here we can see the type of the log, which is a transparency log, and we can see that it pertains to a cloud storage product. The reason for this log is a customer initiated support, and the required access here is a read access, Google internal read access for this specific resource, which is the cloud storage bucket name, and the date and time of when this happened, and the severity is just a notice for this log. So some of the reasons that this log may not be generated is, for example, if you grant the Google employee a cloud IAM authorization, then they'll be treated as a local, your own organization's user instead of a Google support user. In case that there is some legal issue, for example, the government can request access to data for whatever criminal investigation and things like that, then there's not going to be an access transparency log generated for that. And also finally, if it's a public resource, for example, if you exposed a cloud storage bucket to the public, then it doesn't necessarily have to, anybody can access that publicly, then there's not necessarily going to be a transparency log for that. And finally, if it's like a system job that's running, like a compression job, then there's not going to be any access transparency log for that either.
For more details, check the link in the description. Learn with Whizlabs. Success certified.